Hey everybody, this is James Coleman here. I'm here today to teach y'all how to do a new type of approach called a GPS approach. Now, GPS approach, you're going to need one crucial thing, a GPS, of course. Now, to explain how a GPS approach works, first I want to explain how the GPS system works itself. Basically, the GPS system globally consists of about 24 satellites, plus a few extra here and there in case one breaks down and they need to replace it real quick. They don't have to launch a brand new satellite up there, they just replace it with one of the ones that's already up there. Now, to explain how the GPS system works, we should explain and how it receives the airplane at pretty much any time of the day. We need to explain how it orbits. So, say this little ball is our home, Earth. A little water there. And we're good. Now, first things first, we know there's 24 satellites orbiting Earth, but how are they orbiting? Well, they're orbiting in 6 different orbits and 4 satellites in each orbit. So basically, it looks something like this. There's 1 orbit, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So each one of these lines here, there's 4 satellites on it. 2, basically they're spread out in 2s though. So at all times, anywhere on this map, we should have at least 5 satellites within range to pick up where we're at, which is crazy, but in reality, you only need 4 satellites to show you latitude, longitude, and altitude. That's it, just 4. But it's nice to have that little extra one. So basically, to find out how many satellites are actually pinpointing at us, and if they're good and its integrity is stable, we use a system on our airplane called the RAIN system, which means Receiver Autonomous Integrity Monitoring System. Basically, we go to this page on our GPS, or usually I fly the Archer with the G1000 mode. So we go to the page on the G1000, basically the RAIN page, and it shows us how many satellites we are picking up and the strength of each signal from those satellites. If we came into the aircraft one day and it's only said we had 1 or no satellites pinpointing us, there might be something wrong with our airplane. It might not be receiving the satellites. Or worst case scenario, the whole global GPS system goes down, which is highly unlikely unless something miraculously happens. So basically, when we're talking about GPS approaches, there are a few different types. The main one we're going to focus on today is the RNAV, but we're going to focus on the LPV approach, which is our lateral performance and vertical guidance approach. For our LPV approach into Macon downtown, we have a WAAS. Now, WAAS stands for Wide Augmented Array System. When we use WAAS, it's kind of like making a GPS approach like an ILS approach, which means we can have our minimums lowered. Not as low as an ILS approach, but still pretty low. So basically, to understand WAAS, let's draw it out. Here is our runway right here. call it runway 10 and make it downtown. Use this. So basically, we'll say this is our WAS. And this right here is our 4 satellites, or 5 satellites like we usually have, for if something went wrong. Now I'm going to draw a little airplane here. Now, we are on the GPS RNAV approach for 10. We are doing the LPV version, which means we need WAS. We have 2 dual WAS receivers on the airplane, which helps give us our glide slope. So, we have signal bouncing off of our airplane, heading into space, and then back, and telling us where we're at within a few feet. Or sometimes it's not as good. But we want to bring us all the way down to the ground without risking losing our integrity and coming off course by anything. This is where WAS comes in. WAS sends a signal to our airplane and bounces it off, and it computes the signal between this signal and this signal and gives us a more accurate description of where we're at. And it can get very, very precise, which is why we can come all the way down to here, to a very low minimum. If we didn't have WAS, we'd probably be breaking out right here. But with WAS, we can break out right here, which has a lot to do, because if there is a cloud layer right here, but no cloud layer here, we will go miss at this point. When in reality, if we come back down, we come to here and land safely. Every few feet in an IFR flight of visibility counts. So now I'm going to explain to y'all how we perform an RNAV approach. So let me take y'all over to the approach book. Now this is an RNAV approach. First step when we're flying the airplane is to brief the approach. So we'll go all the way through it. WAS, yes, our approach course is going to be 102 degrees. Our runway length is 4,184 feet. Touchdown zone 430 feet high. Airport elevation is 437. And we are performing the RNAV GPS runway 10 into Macon downtown. We have appropriate frequencies, should have the appropriate frequencies already tuned in, 120.775, and Atlanta Approach Con 124.2, and Unicom 123.0. Now that we have that all worked out, we'll be performing the LPV approach, which means we can go all the way down to 712 feet, rather than if we didn't have WAS, we'd only go up to 100 or 880 feet, which is a tremendous big difference, because it only takes a cloud layer a few feet to disperse. I don't know about y'all, but I'd rather get further down so that way I can break out of the clouds a lot faster and land the approach and not go missed. Now, if for some reason we break out, still have no cloud, are in the clouds, or we never break out and we're still in the clouds, we will go perform our missed approach, which is climb to 3,000 to direct to Jobra and hold. I've done that quite a few times. Now, say we are entering, once we get in the air, we've made sure our system's right, we've talked to ATC, we're going to do the RNAV into runway 10. First thing we do is we set up and load and activate, and if the time permit, or if we are ready to, we'll activate our approach into the GPS, which I can show you how to do in the airplane. So say we come out and ATC wants us to do a direct entry and to have them and start the approach. So once we get to have them, we should be lower, or we should get to about 3,000 feet. Once we get to have them though, we can descend down to 2,100 feet over at Codri. By Codri, that will be our final approach fix. We shouldn't be any lower than 2,100 feet at Codri. We're going to have a bad day if we are. And probably not going to pass our check ride, and worse, we could hit a tree or something in the way. These approaches should not be tampered with in any way. So, once we get to Codri, we want to descend down, or we should have our glide slope in range if the WAS is working. Now, for some reason, if we don't have our glide slope, we need to quickly move down to an LNAV approach, or just decide to go missed. I've had this happen to me in Dublin during my check ride, actually. I was performing the GPS approach, lost my glide slope. It just wouldn't come up on the screen, and I moved to an LNAV approach. It was also a VFR day, and instead of breaking out at 712, I broke out at 880. So, I mean, it does happen, but we'll be ready for it. So say we have our glide slope, everything's going good, we go past Codri at 2,100 feet, and we're keep on descending. Soon we'll get to DOPC, which is 2.6 miles to runway 10. At 2.6 miles, we should be at 1280. 1280 is pretty low, but still, we're going to keep coming down. Say we're still in the clouds, we should keep going until our decision altitude, which is 712 feet. If we break out before or after 712 feet, we'll remove if our instructor says, we'll remove the foggles, and we'll land at runway 10. But we get to 712 feet, can't see the airport. That means we're going miss. Full power and climb to 3,000, head direct to Jobra. The GPS will automatically go to our missed approach if we go missed. Now, say we want to do our circling. If we're doing circling, we should break out at 1,200 feet, and we can circle the pattern into runway 28 instead. That's basically how to do a GPS approach. Now, there are some other stuff we need to worry about. Like, what if our GPS goes out? If our GPS is unreliable at that time, we should immediately go missed on the approach and let ATC know and set up for a different type of approach, perhaps a VOR approach. Macon does have a few of those. If we do the VOR approach, we can land safely without using GPS. Or we could just go to Macon Regional, where they have an ILS approach, and perform an ILS approach. Now, I'd like to thank y'all for listening to my GPS approach plate. I look forward to flying, and hopefully by the time we're in the aircraft, you will completely understand the fundamentals of a GPS approach. And now, once we jump in, you can land it. I'm Brandon Coleman. Y'all have a great day. Stay safe out there and keep clean from the corona. Have a good one.